recording and transcription started by you. So great. So welcome again. Welcome again to Mr. Godfrey, the founder of Raeven Marketplace. We're very pleased to have you. I am so excited because the work that you do around the organization, speaks for itself. When I checked your LinkedIn, your organization's LinkedIn profile, I knew immediately that this person has to be in this research input. So once again, welcome to you, sir. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. So, thank you very much, Doctor, for reaching out to us. It means a lot that this shout out, that's how I see it. This shout out is coming from you, and the fact that what it seems like we are doing with Raven, even though we are trying to scale it as much as possible, is beginning to contribute to, in a little way or big way, whatever the case may be, contribute to shaping how policies are made in the society at large, and maybe slightly make the world a bit better than we found it. So I'm really excited to be here, and I hope that this your research gains the right attention and falls into the right hands and is used to make the world better. So super excited. Also, I'm really proud of how far you've come yourself. You know, thank you.
Thank you very much. I just got one particular thing immediately you introduce yourself, and that's concerning the policy part. We seem to be at the same thoughts level at this point. First off, this interview is simply for you to give your input, as the case may be, when it comes to human rights based approach to AI policy making. And then we might be using facial recognition as a starting point or not. Your contributions can be anonymized. We are going to send you the transcript before we even publicize anything. And you have the right to, to withdraw your consent without any excuse or whatever. So back to the policy thing you mentioned, I'm just kind of curious, what particular policy, human right policy, if I may say, did you see that maybe encouraged you or served as a platform or a wake-up call for you to begin to work on Raven Marketplace? What was that thing that gave you that spark or that annoyance that you really wanted to change things?
So I wouldn't say it's policy related to AI that made me start Raven Marketplace. I started Raven Marketplace as a way of trying to solve my own problem. And then when I started being able to solve that problem, I figured there is no sense in me keeping, because I started the whole manually. The problem is that I I tend to move around states in Nigeria. And when I move into a different state, I find it hard to be able to get things I want for myself. And I figured if I had people there, or if there was a way I could go into a repository, a directory, and check, okay, so these are the people who sell particular kind of things or do particular kind of services, it will make life really easy for me. And of course, the first one is to get the list of the people who are selling those things. But if I have it just alone, I've not solved any problem. So I figured if I could make it in such a way that everybody can come into a particular platform, and then, of course, it has to be a marketplace now, and then come in, register themselves about what they sell in the location they are in, and list out what they sell, the price they sell it at. And then people can come in and see that and be able to buy from there and be able to reach out to them and say, I want to buy something. That's the origin. In simple terms, that's what Raven Marketplace is about. But then we run into a situation where, because you've now created this repository where people can come in and list the things they sell, there are people who trust us but are not certain about trusting the people who are selling, who we've listed, right? And so it positioned us in a point where, okay, that means we have to do an extra thing, add an extra layer to what we've done. And that extra layer is this, that we are able to create a flow for people to place orders through us. So it's very okay for you to come into this marketplace we've built called Raeven Marketplace and search for people who sell things and close the app. Once you see them, you get their number and go and buy from them. It's very okay. We allow that. Like, we are not angry with you because first of all, we think of ourselves as a search engine. But if you don't trust the person, or if the person is very far away from you, because after we created the space, the marketplace, and listed people who sell things, we figured, okay, what we can add into that is delivery. So if people buy things from people who sell things on our platform, we should be able to offer them delivery services. And that was great. Meaning that, number one, you can see somebody who is selling a particular thing and close the app, walk up to the person, buy. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you're lazy like me, for why I even started Raven Marketplace, you can you can call the person and be like, can you come deliver in a particular location? And the person can bring it. Or you tell the person, can you send your sales girl to come and deliver? And the person can be like, yeah, I can send my sales girl. Or, no, I don't trust you. You might be a kidnapper. I cannot send my sales girl before you go rape am. So in that situation, that's where the delivery man is now important. That's the raving delivery man. They walk around and get the orders and come deliver to whoever, and then you pay for that delivery service. That's the second layer. Now, for us to make it, because we woke up one of the days and discovered, bro, there are people selling cars of 20 million, 50 million on the marketplace, and that made us scared. Because what if a scammer came into the marketplace, took pictures of products, and with AI now, it's very easy for you to get pictures and things and form things that are not real. What if a scammer came and did something like that on the platform? It positioned us in a way where they will say, okay, so you built this platform and people are scamming from there. Because of that, we added this extra layer that said, so if you come into the marketplace as somebody who wants to buy things, you see somebody that you don't trust, it is better for you to buy the thing you want to buy from the person through the Raven route, which means that you send the money to Raven, we hold the money, and then inform the seller that, hey, this person has bought this thing. Then the person passes through the entire stress of delivering it to you. Once the person delivers and you've okayed it, that's when you release the money to the seller. That's the route of buying through Raven, which is beautiful in a lot of ways, right? So that, because there are always these cases of what you ordered versus what you get. Now, with this route, you've seen the thing already before you're releasing the money. It's you that is releasing the money. Then we release the money from Raven to the person. So if the thing you ordered is not what you're getting, it solved the problem. So it kind of solved a lot of problems moving forward. And I think that gradually, if we're able to do this correctly, we'll be able to gather enough data to even
Mm.
build something way better than this moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
very much. You mentioned very excellent points, when you were talking. You mentioned that when you started your development, you were trying to solve a problem for yourself, but then at the point you started thinking, wow, what if I have this for everybody, And what I am thinking about is equity something that is very important to you, is that sounds like you want to democratize access to this kind of tools. Is this something that is very close to your heart, and why is it important?
Okay, yeah. So um truth is that I think for as far as I can remember, I've always been this champion of having things equally shared to as much people as possible. And the reason that is important is because the more divide wealth becomes in society, the higher the chances of riots and conflict, and the fact that the world now becomes unstable for all of us. So, for as much as I can remember, I've always been a champion of, let's make the world a bit more flat. It's better for all of us to survive better in it. That is it. And then so in contribution to that on Raven, so I have this serious tech power when it comes to facial recognition, basically playing around images, right? And so in doing this, we on Raven we were able to come up with something to help people snap their pictures better. So there is this algorithm on facial recognition that allows you to the way facial recognition works is that it actually throws beams to your face, and that beams is kind of, you can use that to translate something into 3D. So basically, if you turn on your camera at the point where you want to do facial recognition, basically, and that camera is on your face, what's actually happening is that it's not per se taking a picture, it's throwing beams to your face, and it's trying to get the dimensions of where each of those beams they are hitting on, which means that if you hold it and turn it around and you're able to translate that data correctly, you can use it to print out a 3D version of yourself, right? So what we are doing with that on Raven is that we are trying to, we use it internally when our sellers, that's our vendors on Raven, want to take pictures of their products. And we're still improving on it and trying to improve on it to the point where it makes the market slicker, such that people can come in and then take pictures of their product. And when buyers want to come in, they can, have a 3D effect kind of thing of the product. Now, the particular algorithm we are using for that, which we build ourselves internally, we've made it open source completely. So everybody in the tech space, and it has, I think, close to 1,000 users already who are using this plugin we built internally for ourselves. Because truthfully, we could not have gotten to where we are if there were not some of these free stuffs. That's equality now. If there were not some of them that we started building on top of, we cannot get to where we are. And I believe that the more we do this, the more others would come into the same mindset and try to make the world a bit more equal.
And just this conversation is getting really interesting, especially with your mention of facial recognition and what that does to your business. Just to ask a follow-up question, with AI now, it's very easy to get fake pictures, and like you were really explaining how facial recognition works, I was wondering, is there any possibility of deep fake coming into your system, and do you have any way of detecting such?
Yeah, so there are a lot of ways. If I, so, I have an MBA from a university in Washington, D.C., online though, about cybersecurity and product management with Agile and Lean. And so I like to portray myself as this very techie person when it comes to cybersecurity. And I try to build products in that line as well. But I'll be lying to you. I'll be grossly lying to you if I told you that it's not possible for deepfake to get into our system. We try our very best. We try to follow all of the best practices and industry standards. But it's still very possible that somebody who is able to have a good understanding of what we may most likely be doing can bypass all of those holes we try to put in and put in a lot of deep fake. And with AI, it becomes very easy because what AI does is is good and bad in itself, right? We also do a lot of AI internally, but what AI is giving people power to is opportunity to be able to make a lot of guesses about the internal workings of an organization from what they can see on the outside, and guess and guess and guess until they probably get it right. Which means that before now, um, a hacker can always be, there's 100% chance that if somebody targets your system, the person will be able to hack it. 100% chance. The only thing is that you protect yourself, right? You try to train yourself and your staff to be able to overcome that. So with AI now in the game, it's if it was 100% before, now it's a 200% now. So that's the
Wow.
truth. Yeah.
Wow. So what then would be your advice, or what are the steps that your organization is taking to make sure that you combat these kind of things, and maybe give some level of comfort, to prospective customers who themselves might be a little afraid, concerning the facial recognition thing and all.
Okay, so there are a couple of things, even with the facial recognition, why it's not good to completely wipe it out and all is because that's even the same software, about the same kind of software you're using to do KYC, to know your customers better. So sometimes when you try to block out something bad, you tend to also block out the advantages as well. Now, just alone as a business, we may not be able to get it completely correct, but we expect that the entire society come together and work together until we get it right. Internally, we have an R&D department. They do a lot of amazing things. And so recently, one of the things we're trying to do with AI, I'll tell you this because I believe in equal share of knowledge. So we discovered a couple of months back that people no longer, so our system is built in such a way that there is good SEO, that's search engine optimization for people to be able to search when they're searching on Google or anywhere, we should pop up. I think that's probably one of the reasons why you were able to see us fast. So we try to always improve on that as much as possible. So we discovered that people have kind of reduced how they use browsers directly to search for things. And since we are a platform that is displaying products for people to search, it's not good for the business. What people are doing, what people tend to be doing more is that they just go to AI, say ChatGPT, and then turn on the browser part of it, or any other one, or Gemini that Google is using, and they just search. I want to buy this, I want to do this. Basically, that's nobody is directly using the browser anymore to do much. They want to search for where can I buy Ankara? They will just go to ChatGPT directly. Who is the best Ankara seller? Who sells the best Ankara around here? Who sells the best kind of shoes? That's what people tend to be doing more. So we discovered that we can actually use that to some form of reverse engineering to work to our advantage, where we sat down and then spent a lot of time to check what people are searching for in the AIs, right? And what the responses look like. Now, in doing that, we're able to get more of what people are searching for on the AI models, all of the LLMs, right? And then since we got the responses, now some of them, we are a startup, so some of them is Temu that will come up, some of them Jumia, things like that. Then we checked what every other platform, that's whatever was searched, why did the AI link it to this particular platform? And then we use that content to try to improve our own system, add it into our SEO basically. And so that if somebody is searching for that, we now come top. Now, if we continue in that trend, and the tax is for the next 6 months, if we continue in that trend, between now and the middle of next year, most of the things that people are searching for will always appear top, meaning that we've kind of tricked the LLMs, that's these AIs, into thinking that we are the best or we are the number one, is we are the number one. Maybe we are, which is okay. But imagine that a hacker or a Yahoo boy decides to do exactly that to that LLM as well. You get, if the person gets hold of this knowledge, and knowledge should be free, person gets hold of this kind of knowledge and starts doing that, before you know what is happening, it pushes all of us to this point where, I know it's a wrong word, but this infraction point where everything completely breaks because you cannot trust the internet anymore. And that's not the only problem with all of these things as the AI, that the AI is doing. The next major problem, and I know you won't like this part very well, though, but the next major problem is that the people who are training these AIs, that's training the models and the LLMs, they are doing it at their will. So we have a couple of open source models ourselves that we are training internally to use in the stars, with the stars and all. And we can tweak it anyhow we like. We can give it any kind of content and it does that. And that is a problem when it becomes something you go for as the ultimate source of truth, which people tend to be doing now more often, is a problem because it will lead us to this same kind of Galileo problem. You know the Galileo problem, where so basically Galileo Galilei, he kind of invented the telescope, and then he was born at a time when the whole world and the Catholic Church particularly believed that the earth is the center of the universe. And then because they thought that, and then this guy woke up, invented telescope, and then after a lot of data, decided to say, no, the earth is not the center of the universe, it's the sun that is the center of the solar system. Now he said this, and then the church asked him to take back his word that that's not true, that is the earth that is the center of everything. Now, when he refused to accept that, he was declared a heretic and excommunicated. And it was years after he has died that they now discovered that they were actually wrong. And now, if people who are training these models, so meaning that general knowledge, wherever general knowledge is gotten, should be held in high esteem. Not that everybody like me now stand up and start training an LLM, and then OpenAI is training its own, China is training its own, everybody's just training the way it likes, and then trying to alter what this AI is spitting out as truth. That's what everybody would think. It means that we most likely kill another Galileo Galilei very soon, not knowing. And it's already happening, truthfully, because take, for instance, if you go to any of these chat GPTs or any of them, and then you search, ask it to generate you a picture of a CEO, it's going to be a white man, not even a white woman. That's what it thinks. It's been trained into thinking that every CEO must be a white man. And that is already sending a lot of wrong information. And it's going to continue like that, So wow. I don't think I alone, even though we are trying, truthfully, the operating officer in Raeven tries to put a lot of effort into making sure that at every point we are as protected as can be. And even when we do make mistakes, we give out public announcement as fast as possible and then try to correct that. We've been hacked a couple of times, not completely though, but even when we try to make it public and try to correct ourselves and move from there. So I think it cannot just be one person. It has to be a lot of people come together and agree that we need to start being more honest with ourselves. We need to work towards making the world better. I think that's the only way that security can truthfully be brought back into the software space. And what is bad about the way the world is sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No,
I'm just speaking from how I feel from the inside. What is bad about how the world is currently going about it is that, this AI has now been brought into the business environment. And the only thing businessmen know, honestly, is how to become better than their partner. That's the issue. So US is thinking about it from a business standpoint. China is thinking about it from a business standpoint. Before you stop and start putting the right guardrails into things, you need to put a pause on something after you've understood it to put that guardrail. But businessmen will never do that, will never want to put that pause. If the US side of things wants to put a pause and try to understand the environment very well, they are afraid that China is still moving on, no? So they won't want to do that. The same thing with me now. I cannot now put the entire R&D department of Raeven on hold for any reason because Jumia is doing the same thing. Jumia is still pushing. Temo is pushing. Why will I put pause? And as long as you cannot pause that, as long as you cannot pause that to analyze truly what's going on and how you can put in the right guardrails, it's always going to mess up things first before it becomes better. So that's where I think there would be a problem, in my opinion. There will be a serious problem before it can get better. So this Emmett Till, you've heard of the story of Emmett Till, yeah?
Please tell us.
Okay, so So in the 1950s, right, there was this young guy whose name was Emmett Till. He's a black guy, and then he's in the US in the 1950s, and there was racism then in the US, a lot of it. And so this guy travels to, I think, somewhere from his state to maybe Mississippi or something to go and see his extended family. And then when he gets there, he had this mindset of where he grew up from. And so when he gets there, he's with his cousins in a bar and he sees a white girl that he thinks is beautiful and says hi, like tries to like heal up the girl. And he didn't know that was a mistake for him. So the next night, some white guys came to where he was, which is his extended family, not with his parents now. His extended family picks him up and beats him to death. They threw him inside the water and beat him to death. Now, when his body was found and he was to be buried, his mother did the bravest thing a black woman has ever done. So what she did instead was she said no. That's at the point where she was grieving more, she said she wants the son's casket to be open. That's bloated and all, beaten up badly. She said she wants the son's casket to be opened and let the world see what they've done to the son, even though she was grieving that badly. And in doing that, all of the magazines, all of the newspapers in the US picked it, and it was in the face of almost all the newspapers. And everybody who saw it was like, no, we can do better as humans. And that was really painful, right? It was at that point that people like Martin Luther King now was able to have confidence and courage to stand up, and all of the fight that had to be fought before the world became better, and you can comfortably now stay in the US and almost every other country. Now, sadly, if something like that does not happen at this point, we are also going to continue facing some very crazy things with AI. And until something like that happens, in my opinion, we are not going to take the whole issues very seriously. And I think things like that the right guardrails can be put. I actually believe that personally. We just need to come to the consciousness that this is what this thing is capable of, and then we can solve the problem. I believe we can solve it because if you take the aviation industry, for instance, at the point when the Wright brothers created what has now become the source of transportation, if they had allowed it that everybody then build planes the way you like, fly everywhere you like, you know that the world will be chaos right now. Yeah, the world will be chaos because then if you can be inside your apartment or wherever you are, and somebody flies on top of you, and maybe there's collisions and all of that. But the world was able to come together, understand the power of the tech in place, and then put in the right guardrails. Do you know that that is still the one of the major industries that there's no African time there? Let me not call it African time. There's no delay. Whenever you have a flight, it's in your consciousness. Even though you go late to every other thing, including church and toilet, you know that when you want to fly, you go early. You get there on time because once the time reaches for you to fly, because of the rules that has been set in place, you will fly at that point. And then there are routes that people are allowed to fly on. There are routes that people are not allowed to fly. So there's proper guardrail on the aviation industry, as scary as the tech was when it was invented. So I believe that the government, like if we come together and understand what the problem truly is, we can put in the right guardrails to make all of these things with AI work very perfectly for man. That's what I believe personally.
Wow, very interesting there. I could not, very interesting, and I'm learning myself. You mentioned some very interesting specific points about being able to trick the system and training these models at will. Now, you also mentioned that to solve this problem, the larger society will have to come together. And I'm wondering if government is part of this larger society, and if yes, in your opinion, what are the essential features or characteristics of an effective human right-based approach to AI policy making? Because it looks like entrepreneurs now have the go ahead to compete. And at the end of the day, it's actually, human rights in a way that are violated just because of incentives, for gain and profit. So if you were to look at it in your own way of giving advice, what in your opinion would be the characteristics or the essential features of an effective human rights based approach to AI?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So if I want to think about it from first principles, the truth is what this AI is using, that's the fuel for AI, is data, right? And so if AI is doing very well, what is going the first human right feature that is being trampled on is that data privacy. Your data is, of course, my data is, everybody's data is what AI is using to get better and improve itself. And as it's doing that, it's also trampling on that's our rights because we should have privacy to our data, right? That's the issue. That's the main issue. Because take the entertainment industry, for instance. If AI continues at the pace it's traveling on, then it means that before we get to 2030, there will be no original song because all the current artists' voices has already been trained. And so I can just sit down and say, okay, I want a Davido's voice in my song, and then I can write a script completely different from Davido's philosophy, and then say that that is a song that Davido sang, and mess up his entire personality. I can do something like that. And it's already in play that people find out. And where the issue is with the fact that AI is put into the hands of businessmen is that they're always competing to minimize cost and maximize profits. That is for you to be a good businessman means that you're doing that properly. And AI gives you the opportunity to be able to do that because instead of featuring the video or a particular actor for $1 million, you can use an AI of $50 to have that spin up, and it will even do it better than maybe the video currently. And sadly, that's the truth. So it's these human rights that's the main problem. First of all, for I think one of the major things that has to happen, if yeah, government has to be involved. Like there has to be somebody who play their role of an elder brother for this thing to be able to work out. And we all pay taxes. So when you're paying tax, what you're saying is that you're in partnership with the government. And like so, for instance, now in Nigeria, if I'm paying tax, I'm saying that the government has given, like we went into partnership where they are giving me land, they are giving me access to electricity, they are giving me access to a couple of things to create this environment for me to do business. And since they are creating that environment, when I make interest, I should get something. That is what tax is. So if I'm giving them, if we are into that kind of partnership, and we want a situation where all of the umbrella of people like me, we can now have an agreement or something. It has to only come from the government because the next person like me and him, we are competing. The only person that we are probably not competing is the government, right? So the government has to be involved in it in a way that gives them the opportunity to, and sadly, they cannot get it right immediately. That's what I believe. Here's why. We don't even completely understand what the AI thing is yet. And even if we understand it as businessmen and tech people, we will not tell them the entire truth yet. And human beings have been found to be able to evolve. Evolve means change, add things, tweak things. So it's going to have to be a continuous process. So for now, they can pick out this, start from the human rights issues. And then if you want to use somebody's data for anything, please make it public. It's not bad. That person is his data you're using for it. So be transparent with that fact that, okay, so this is the data we use for so and so training. And so let me be able to know that parts of my data has been used to do a particular thing so that I am protected myself as well. I cannot claim that I don't know. So I think transparency should be the first thing. The issue why most businessmen would put friction into this is because once you talk about transparency, there's now this problem of competition, copying out whatever you've used and using it himself as well. So that is the major problem. I don't think the government is going to be able to get it correctly, but there should be it should be a regular thing where they look at, okay, what's the current situation of things, what's the status quo now, and then make policies to cover up for that. It's like when you think about how antiviruses are created. It's very wrong. When we were growing up, you and I in the university, there were antiviruses that we get, something like a pass, all of them, and then they will install it on our system and tell us to go for 365 days, 1 year before the antivirus expire, and then we will get updates again. That is very wrong because if you work with that kind of model, especially in this case, it will be very wrong because so you create an antivirus today. What antivirus means is that there are loopholes that people have found into the product. And then because there are those loopholes, you create something that covers those loopholes. And then you're telling the person that carry it and protect yourself for the next 365 days. The issue is when you release that product, you call that antivirus. Now, you release it today. And then when you release it today, I'm a hacker. I go and buy that your antivirus. I'm able to carry it, dissect it, understand what you've done as protection, and then add layers into it that now fight against it. And so for the next 364 days that people buy that your antivirus, any virus I create today is going to work on your system. It's going to be able to affect your system, which makes it not to work properly. What makes sense instead to do if you want to really protect people from viruses is that you make it a continuous process. You figure out a way that every maybe 2 or 3 days, you check what the current definition of viruses are. And then from there, you build something and send for people to update immediately. So that if there is a new virus in society, maybe in 2 or 3 days, that viruses can be wiped out and then antiviruses can protect again. 2, 3 days, the same thing, which means it has to kind of be regular and automated in a way. Not something you do one time and then go and sleep. It won't work like that because nobody only you get head. Everybody be using head.
Oh my goodness. And it seems we are always playing catch up. The government is always playing catch up. And I was just wondering, from your comments, you mentioned that we might have to go through the tunnel before we can see light of day because lots are already happening. And I was just wondering, for the time being, what are some of the remedies that you feel should be in place while we wait for that perfect time when there are the guardrails, so to speak, that we don't need to worry about too many violations again. For now, what are some of those remedies you feel are really necessary?
Okay, for a start, this kind of research you're doing now, this kind of conversation we are having now, I think that should actually be the first start. The fact that somebody like you understands that this is a problem in society starts solving the problem already, in my opinion. If more people like you can start having these conversations, and then we can organize events around it, have conversations that, hey, so these are the new problems. So first of all, let's be informed. Once we start getting informed, we start having a better understanding. Take, for instance, today now you understand that internally we are training AI into being able to help you search for products, right? And so it helps you understand that it's also possible that there are things you may want to go and search for on the internet and it's doctored already. AI is doctoring the whole thing. If you're conscious of that fact, you're able to put do this due diligence from your own end before you fall into traps that are not necessary per se. That is one of the first things. Then the next thing is the government's attention has to be caught into this thing. There has to be some form of awareness from their end. It's very bad if we allow it to get to the point where it's still situation got to where he was beaten and bloated to death. It's already happening, like you mentioned, because even up to last week, there are a lot of these AI companies that are being sued because their children are given the opportunity, committing suicide because of AI. That they have conversations with AI and then they commit suicide. Even recently said, yeah, that's last month. Facebook is currently in court because they have this chatbot, this AI chatbot they created, and then they intentionally, not like they were not aware, they intentionally added a feature that allows the AI to chat with minors in a sexual way. So you are 12 years old, 15 years old, however the 6 years old, you're able to chat with this bot. Tell the bot, oh, I want to masturbate, and then the bot starts giving you the kind of and information to help you do that. And they did this intentionally. Why would they do something like that? Because they want people to spend more time on their platform. Mm-hmm. That's basically what they want. It's business now, right? That is the only reason why consciously somebody as brilliant as Mark Zuckerberg wants to do that, because he wants people to spend more time on his platform. And so if we start having conversations that allow us to understand that these things are already affecting society, because I won't want my maybe 2-year-old or 3-year-old child to start having those kind of conversations, not with if it's with a human being, it's even better, with a bot that may most likely corrupt your entire mindset before you're growing up. So we need to first of all be aware. I think this time, this thing you're doing now is the top of what we are supposed to be doing, having conversations around the issues that will most likely come up because of the problems with AI. I think this is the very first one, and I think we can do it ourselves. So thank you for starting it already. I hope that the government is able to be aware that these things are problems and start paying more attention to it.
Wow, wow. I'm really dumbfounded by the wealth of knowledge you have shared. The EU just brought out the AI Act, so it's called the EU AI Act, and the year that it was ratified, some will say it's 2024, some will say 2025, but the truth is it is less than a year. Less than a year, the EU is coming out with an AI Act. So I'm thinking, as someone who has some AI driven organization yourself, do you feel that the government is doing a lot to catch up with these international, say, frameworks that are already being dished out? The United States as well are doing a lot of work around the AI white paper, like from the White House. But I'm just curious, do you feel that someone like yourself who has an AI-driven organization, do you feel like individual countries are doing a lot to catch up with the trend as far as either global or say regional AI regulations are concerned?
Sadly, I don't. And not to sound disrespectful, I also don't. I've tried to look at the AI Act from the EU, and I understand what the US is also doing to a large extent. I don't believe that the approach they are going about it right now is going to solve the problem. The reason for that is because that white paper they are bringing out is just going to be a facial thing. Like they're still going to try to encourage these software companies and these businessmen to continue to drive innovation as fast as possible. Here's why. China is not relenting. China is not setting any guardrail on anything. And so the mere fact that it's a competition, we've not even spoken about Russia, the mere fact that other countries are not doing whatever it is they are doing, whatever thing they are doing, is just facially. We're just saying, okay, so that they will not say we did not do anything. That's the way they are going about it right now. That's why I was even telling you that I'm worried that it may get to that still kind of issue before they decide to pay the right attention to it. I think what the government is currently doing is just a facial thing, because what they are more interested in is to be able to beat the competition. And here's why I'm saying this. So Trump came into power and then decided that they should stop selling chips to China. And that's the chips that should be used to build AI. Reason for his statement is so that they can overpower China, meaning that they're encouraging more US companies to continue driving innovation in AI as much as possible. but try to reduce those of other people. So whatever paper that kind of mindset brings up now, you understand that he's still trying to make sure that his own companies do as much as possible, but not other countries. Yeah. And and then in the course of last month, because we are in a new month, by the way, happy new month. So in the course of last month, he now lifted, okay, he first said they should sell chips to China, but with the condition that they will give the United States government 15% of whatever they sell. And they agreed. Now, when they decided to start selling like that, Chinese, after about a week, Chinese government now said no Chinese company should buy chips from the US anymore. What that tells you is that in the course of the time when this sanction was placed, they have decided to drive innovation by themselves and now build chips that are as good or even maybe better than the chips they were supposed to get in the US. So with this kind of competition mindset around, flowing around, and then if the US was supposed to form Big Brother, instead of coming in as a Big Brother and trying to manage the entire policies properly, they are coming in with the mindset of competition, which has now made China to build chips that are probably even better than what they have, what the US currently has. So it's the mindset they are going about it right now, in my opinion. I know I'm in just one corner of the world, but in my opinion, I don't think it's going to solve the problem. It's just going to increase how the competitions keep growing. And the fact that you're seeing another person competing, you're not going to stop. You're just going to keep competing like that. So I don't think the approach they are going about it right now really solve the problem. And I think it's just going to make the whole problem grow faster because people start getting more interested in wanting to do more in those areas. That's my opinion.
Oh, wow, you are the expert, and I totally am very impressed with the level of knowledge that I have gained myself. My supervisor was right when she was telling me there's going to be a point in the interview when you yourself will be blown away and the conversation will take a very unprecedented turn, and I think I'm experiencing it live and direct. So I'll just give you the free say floor now. If you, from your expert position, your expert experience, if there's anything at all you want to share, with us. The aim of this research, once again, is to build a human rights based approach to AI policy making and to look at AI from a human right lens. So if there's anything you feel will be of use and benefit, maybe from your experience, I'm very happy to hear them. Thank you.
Okay, so let me see. Well, the truth is, what you're doing right now is what's needed in society. We need to start having these conversations truthfully. Truthfully, something that the projections looks like the world is going to burn down very soon. Well, between now and the next 10 years, if it continues at the pace at which it's traveling, because the fact that these guys are competing about this, and me say myself, of course, I'm involving in the entire competition. I'm also the little resources we have. We're putting a lot in R&D because we don't want to be left behind. So the more people are aware of these conversations that you're bringing up, the better we start thinking about it truthfully. And I believe that we as human beings, we have conscience at the end of the day. Sometimes we are not able to get in touch with that conscience because of other things that cloud our judgment. So I am hoping that we are able to get these conversations to the point where we can clearly see our conscience. Because I like to believe that we as human beings, all of us, we are made of particles that make us very, very good people. Truthfully, we are just clouded sometimes. So I'm hoping that this conversation is able to get to the point where truthfully as humans, we are able to understand, hey, so this is an issue if we don't put the right guardrails into this thing so that we can continue to sail this piece of rock we call Earth to to continue to run around as much as possible. Um, I appreciate the work you're doing because I believe that it is only through this kind of conversations that God is not going to come faster, because God may just be like, oh my babe, make I send fire this time, make everybody go rest. So I believe that it's this kind of conversations, the more people are aware of this kind of conversation, and I hope you can make these conversations public, more public, like whatever the outcome of this your research is can get the right hands and meet the right people. If there is a way we can figure out a way to maybe animate some of the outcomes of what the current trajectory we are taking may lead us to. Let's start doing it more. I was going to do something like that, but currently I'm a bit distracted. I was going to start up a tech startup that will just be focused on making sure that any AI out there is trained to do the right thing with the right data, with the right concept, with the right mindset. Not that everybody is standing up to do that, but I don't have the financial muscle for something like that yet. And I'm hoping that somebody with the right mindset, I'm hoping that this your research, this our conversation may get the right person that will provoke in the spirit to be like, hey, okay, let's start setting the foundations correctly, because it's too bad for us to get to the point where we are, and our children cannot enjoy the piece of rock we call it. It won't be fair. We have messed it up in our generation. Then we've failed as humans, and it won't be very right. So we need to get these conversations to a point where more people will be aware, and there will be protests. Maybe that's why my best projection is that it's going to get bad before it gets better, sadly.
Mm.
But I hope that these conversations you're doing is somehow able to get to the right hands, and we can start selling the world a bit better. Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much,
sadly,
Joshua.
I'm not representing myself alone. I'm representing the entire Raven Marketplace team. It's a big team, actually.
Oh, this is really interesting. Thank you for even, making it possible. Thank you very much. And we really thank the Raven Marketplace team. We are very happy that they are willing to share in this conversation. People have different, you know, terms and conditions. Some will want to appear alone to say detach whatever I say from the organization, but we count it a privilege that they want to be identified with this kind of conversation. So
If I
thank you.
if I knew, I would have brought the entire team. If I knew, I
Oh,
would have brought the entire team.
thank you very much, Godfrey. So I'm going to still send you the transcripts as I continue to work on them and to impute them into the larger body of work I'm doing before we then go ahead to publish it. This is a part of my PhD, so it's just the data gathering part. But I am hoping that, like you rightly said, when you get your hands on it, you're going to find it very useful. So thank you once again to the entire team. My regards to them and stay blessed.
You too, brother. Thank you so much. My regards to your supervisor and the entire colleagues.
Thank you.